A player with a ton of pressure this upcoming NFL season is Anthony Richardson. He was a freak athlete at the 2023 draft combine, and every time he touches the field, his play oozes those physical traits that you saw at his pro day and at the combine. The arm strength, he stands at 6'4", he's 244 pounds, but he moves like a 5'11", 200-pound running back. He is a brilliant athlete. His arm strength, again, off the charts, so good that you have to talk about it twice. But what he struggles with the most is consistency in these three facets of the game of football. Number one, accuracy. Going all the way back to his college days, Richardson had major problems with throwing short and medium balls correctly and accurately. If you look at almost any college scouting report, it's all over there when it comes to his weaknesses. Throwing receivers open. He could not do it consistently. I was shocked to see that continued to translate in the NFL, but we'll get as to why that is later on in this video. But continuing on the accuracy issue, Richardson at Florida had 10 games with over 20 passing attempts, and only one of those games resulted in him having a completion percentage above 61%. Once again, 10 games with 20 plus pass attempts. Just one of those 10 games had a completion percentage of 61% or better. That's it. And it was the Utah game where Florida pulls off the major upset in the swamp, 29-26, and Richardson has some of those crazy highlight plays, the pump fake 360 touchdown, and the 100+ yards he had on the ground. That's where the draft stock for him took off. But overall, throughout the rest of that season, accuracy issues continued to persist in his game, and now we see it in the NFL. Last season, he played 11 games. He had over 250 pass attempts, which qualified him as the worst quarterback, dead last in completion percentage. 47% of his passes were completed. That means every time that he threw the ball, it was more probable that it would be an incomplete pass. You cannot say that about any other starting quarterback in the league. You really can't say it about the majority of backups. That is the major issue with Richardson's on-the-field play. Throwing open receivers accurately, especially in the short and medium game. The long ball, it's consistently been a weak point for a lot of NFL quarterbacks, but it's a strength for Richardson. But unfortunately, in the NFL, not every ball can be a go ball. It can't always be a 50-yard bomb or a post from the 50-yard line to the end zone. So Richardson's issue right now is consistently hitting his open receivers in short to medium throws. So we're talking digs, ins, outs, comeback routes, all of those things from 5 yards to 15 yards. He's got to get better at firing the ball accurately. And so that gets into problem number 2, turnovers. He's very inconsistent with taking care of the football. Again, going back to his college days, this was a critique. Forcing errors was a major issue, and it's always been a part of his game. And that problem poked its head up in the worst way last season. Richardson finished 2024 with just 8 passing touchdowns and 12 interceptions. Looking at those 12 interceptions, the majority of them, what stands out to me, is his over-reliance on his physical traits. You see him throwing the ball off of his back foot. He's trying to fire the ball into places that it does not belong by using his arm strength and trying to zip balls in there. It just does not work out. Overall, his mechanics just don't line up. His footwork paired with his hips, his shoulders, his arm mechanics, and reading the field, all of those consistently are misaligned, and that's the issue. It needs to be the other way around. Consistently, Richardson needs to have those 4 traits aligned in order for him to succeed on the field and put his receivers in a position to succeed. Now, we see that a lot with the deep ball, but I think once again, going back to his physical traits, he can rely on his throw power, his arm strength. He doesn't have to sit there and make quick reads. He can let the play develop because he has a huge body that's hard to sack. Not to mention, he's still quick and athletic. He can shake off tackles. So deep balls are not his issue. It's sitting in the pocket, making a 2 to 3 second decision and firing the ball accurately with proper mechanics. He does not do that consistently, and that leads to both turnovers and accuracy. But in my opinion, the number 3 problem with his game is, in my opinion, the number 1. I saved the best for last, and that is injuries / staying healthy. Richardson has missed more than half of his games available as a starter with the Colts. He's only played in 15 games. He's dealt with a concussion and some other injuries. I think he had a hip injury last year or maybe the year before that kept him out the last 2 games of the season. But the ones that concern me are the 2 AC joint injuries to his throwing arm. That can destroy mechanics. But more importantly, probably most importantly, it not only keeps him off the field on Sundays, but it keeps him off the field, period. He cannot throw. The Colts, with his latest AC joint injury, have shut him down until training camp. And that's the thing. He's missed so much time getting reps with his starters, trying to build chemistry. They just lack that to the nth degree. The best performance that you could see from Richardson is that game in his rookie season versus the Rams. The athletic traits, of course, pop off the tape. But then when you look at the lowlights, like versus, I believe, the Jets last season, that's where the problems with chemistry and learning how to read defenses, learning the mechanics of an NFL quarterback, he's just lacking because he's consistently injured. Now going into year 3, training camp is in question, missing all of the reps of the summer. That's what Richardson is missing. But the bright side is, for a lot of Colt fans, yes, this is maybe a make or break season for Anthony Richardson. But as of right now, looking at the projected starters in the NFL, Richardson is still the 4th youngest quarterback amongst those projected starters. Now, he has one of the best deep balls in the league, in my opinion, and he's an athletic freak. What you've got to do is get him onto the practice field, keep him upright and healthy, no more injuries to the throwing arm, and have his offensive line perform well. He has a good running game. His receivers are more than capable. I think Shane Steichen, the head coach, is a great coach and could end up keeping his job if Richardson performs. I think that's where the pressure kind of builds up here. A lot is on the line. I think if you bring in a new head coach or a new GM, maybe Chris Ballard's on the hot seat here in Indianapolis, these are the question marks that start to pop up. If the GM's gone, probably the coach is gone. If the GM and the coach are gone, Anthony Richardson going into year 4 with a new coach and a new GM, I find that hard to add up. So with that being said, that's where I'm at right now with Richardson being under pressure in Indianapolis. I think there's a tremendous amount building up with the Colts organization. The fans want to see a playoff appearance. The players are ready to win now. Jonathan Taylor deserves a better quarterback room. Once again, a lot of this is not necessarily on Richardson and his personality traits. I think he's a great guy personally from everything I've seen in the media. But what was really happening is the injuries are taking away from him growing mentally in the game, and that's the biggest problem, and it leads to his turnovers and his inaccuracy. So if he can stay healthy this season, we will see major improvements later down into week 16 and 17 of this NFL season. But let me know what you think of Richardson in the comments, and if you think that he's going to end up panning out as a starter in this league. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time.